Yo, Wagwan, it's your boy, brother. I knew him say AKA Chill Samp, coming at you again. Sports Coasters NBA Finals Edition episode. Yes, it's been a long journey, y'all. Y'all done seen us get from the play-in tournament, seen us get into the playoffs, seen us get through round one, round two, round three, and now we are in the NBA Finals against the Denver Nuggets. Miami versus Denver. What a series this is going to be. This is going to be a serious one, y'all. It's going to be a serious series. Probably the toughest series that the Heat have had throughout this whole playoffs, but it's supposed to be. It's the finals. This is your final exam. So this is the finals. This is it. This proves whether you are a pretender or if you're a contender. If we the real deal or if we not the real deal. So this is going to make or break us right here. So I'm looking forward to this series big time. When you look at it, Denver swept the season series this year against Miami. So the two games that we played against Denver, Denver won both of those games. Now, they was both close games, and they was decided by 5 points or less in both of those games. So no blowouts either way. Like, it was a close game in both of those instances. We play similar styles of basketball. The Denver Nuggets, they like to do a lot of ball movement. You know, they move the ball around. They do a lot of cuts. They do a lot of pick and roll action, a lot of drag action. Miami plays a similar style with a lot of ball movement, a lot of cuts, a lot of spacing, and a lot of, everybody touches the ball for our offense. So that's like a basically a mirror image of each other's styles that we're gonna see in this series. Miami, in order for us to win this series, I feel like we have to play the highest level of defense that we've played all postseason long. When we play our zone, we need to be mindful of the fact that Denver has cutters. They got guys that they just cut to the basket all day long. So those things can really tear a zone apart. So we have to really be mindful of those cutters and try to compress the zone as much as we can and not let them spread us out as much as they would want us to. We have to. Jokic for the Denver Nuggets is a really good passing big man. Like, he's probably the best passing big man in the league today. So the challenge that we're gonna have dealing with him is knowing when to play the zone and when to fall back into the man-to-man defense. We have to give him different looks. We can't just throw the same looks at him every single time. We got to switch it up and kind of go into a hybrid zone, or we got to go into a man-to-man defense. But either way it goes, we have to try to do something different with him every time down the court. If you show him the same look over and over again like a really good quarterback, he will pick it. He'll just pick you apart. So we have to be very mindful of that and give him different looks. Our depth is going to be very important. Since Denver has been resting for over a week now, those boys probably got fresh legs. They got home court advantage. So they're going to be in their building. And in Denver, everybody knows Denver is on top of a mountain. The city literally is on a mountain. So it's above, it's high altitude, basically. So people get tired fast when they play in Denver. Just running up and down, you're going to get a little more winded because that thin air up there in Denver causes a lot of visiting teams to have issues with that. So we have to get a lot out of our depth so that we don't have to overextend our starters and force them to play big minutes. So our depth, our bench, and role players, just like it's always been for us in all the other series, those guys have to be big. They got to be huge factors coming off the bench and coming into their roles. Our bench has to give good relief. Duncan has to knock down open looks. Duncan Robinson, you got to take advantage of every open look that you get, because those are going to come at a premium. And when you that wide open, the way that you're probably going to be in a lot of cases, you definitely have to make them pay by knocking down these shots. As does Gabe, as does Caleb. Kevin Love also has to be physical. He can't be the finesse big guy that he's used to being. He has to be a little more physical in this series with Joker, because with Jokic, he likes to bang bodies a little bit. But if you bang him around too, you might be able to get him rattled. So I want to see Kevin Love be a little more physical than he's used to being. Also, Cody Zeller, I need him to just be a presence. Use your 7-foot frame and just be a presence to clog the lane. Don't just let people just walk in there throwing up layups. Don't let Jokic just have an easy look at the basket every single time. Force him into those high arcing jump shots that we know he can make. But if that's what we're going to live with, then that's what we're going to live with. Get out there, get your hands up in his face, make him shoot over the top of you. Just try to make it as difficult as possible for Jokic, because he's going to get his numbers, he's going to get his touches. But the best thing that we can do is to try to make it as difficult for him as possible. So I definitely want to see that out of our bigs, out of Zeller, out of Kevin Love, out of Bam. When Bam is on him, I want to see that defensive pressure applied to Jokic. I want to see that. Miami needs to make Denver into more of a traditional team. Force Jamal Murray to be more of a playmaker than a scorer, and force Jokic to be more of a scorer. So if we can kind of neutralize what their strengths are, and their strengths are clearly, Jokic handling the ball, facilitating the offense, being a playmaker, finding cutters, rebounding, starting the outlet. If we can neutralize that and just turn them into a traditional team, have Jamal Murray just bring the ball up the court, force him to get Jokic the ball down low or, top of the key or wherever he's going to get it, that's fine. But we can't have Jokic facilitating the offense, conducting traffic and doing all of that. We can't have that, because that turns them more into like the freak of nature team that they really are. But if we can keep them as more of a traditional, regular, basic team and force their players to play traditional roles, then I feel like we have a much better chance to beat them. We also have to keep Aaron Gordon off the boards. He has the potential to really make some noise on the offensive boards and on the defensive board. So if we can rebound the ball and keep Gordon in check and keep him off the glass, then we have a good chance. If we make Porter Jr., KCP, and Murray, we force them to make contested shots. They're going to make shots. They're going to get shots. But if we're getting a hand up in their face, if we're closing out properly, if we're even forcing them to put the ball on the floor and drive instead of just sit there and do target practice and make open shots, then we'll be doing ourselves more service and more justice if we can kind of make it more difficult for those guys. Make them make contested shots, force them to make contested shots. Our defensive rotations have got to be quick, because we can't give them open looks. So when the ball goes from one side of the court to the other, our rotation players have to be quick. We have to have our men getting back on defense, switching over to the right man. On the pick and roll defense, we got to be quick and decisive about where we're going. I personally feel like we should stay at home on the pick and rolls, like rather than switch and try to get caught up in the mismatches. I know we have undersized guys who can defend bigger guys, but in this particular series, I think it'll probably be in our best interest if we just stayed home and kept the correct man on the correct man rather than switching on all the pick and rolls like we normally do. So I really would like to see that adjustment in this series. But, ultimately, Coach Spo, he has the final call, and I'm sure he's going to put together some kind of scheme or some kind of defense or he's going to put together some kind of plan that's going to force Jokic to score and not pass as much as he's accustomed to doing. So those are some of the big keys that I look for Miami to have a really good shot of taking this series from Denver. So I look for that. Some key matchups that I look for, and again, with these two teams, they play so fluid and they do so much cutting, and they're so unconventional as to who could be the guy, that some of these matchups may not even pan out the way that they look on paper. But I'm looking forward to seeing Bam and Jokic going at it. That's going to be a really interesting matchup. Bam being a little bit smaller than Jokic for a big man, I think that could either play into Bam's advantage or it can play into Jokic's advantage, depending on who imposes their style of play on who. If Bam gets the ball and he's real decisive and goes and attacks the basket immediately, not giving Jokic a chance to let his size be a factor, and Bam uses his speed more to attack Jokic and maybe get him into foul trouble or go around him, then I think Bam can have that advantage in that matchup. But it's important and imperative that he's real decisive and he makes his move immediately. No hesitation, no pump fakes, no sizing up. Just get the ball, make a quick move, and go. If you're not, then get rid of the ball, kick it back out, and restart the offense. That's really big to see if that pans out that way. Gabe Vincent versus Jamal Murray. I think that's going to be a really good matchup in the series because Gabe Vincent is a really underrated defender. A lot of people don't give him the credit that he deserves as a defender, but Gabe Vincent he's a pit bull on defense. I mean, bigger guards try to post him up and he holds his own. He definitely holds his own. He can turn you over. He can reach in there. He can get in the passing lanes. He can disrupt the passer. He can do a lot of different things that a lot of people don't see coming and don't really see him as being a specialist as. But Gabe Vincent is a really, really good defender. So watching him and his defense on Murray, I think that's going to be key as well in this series. And Jimmy Butler and Porter Jr., I think that's probably going to be a quiet matchup that a lot of people don't really talk too much about because Porter Jr., they look at him as, he's a knockdown shooter. He's a guy who stretches the floor on the offense, but he can put the ball on the floor too. And it's imperative that Jimmy Butler puts a lot of pressure on him and forces him into putting the ball on the floor and making mid-range shots and attacking the basket rather than just sitting there shooting threes. So, and then vice versa. If Porter Jr. is going to be able to match the level of intensity that Jimmy is going to bring, because we know Jimmy doesn't take these matchups lightly. He's going to go at Porter Jr. He's going to attack him. He's going to force him to prove that he can, pose any kind of a threat to him defensively. And if he doesn't, then Jimmy is just going to see that as barbecue chicken and he's going to get the grubbing. And he's just going to go at him and that's, it's going to be a long night for Porter Jr. So I'm looking forward to seeing that matchup. But again, some of these matchups may be mixed up because of the way that these teams both play and their style of play doesn't always end up being conventional. So that's kind of up for debate how that's going to turn out. But either way you look at it, those matchups on paper are really good. These two teams match up really well. They have very similar styles. So I'm looking forward to the matchup overall. There's also a chance that Tyler Hero, I'm getting the word that Tyler Hero may return in Game 3. If that is the case, so be it. But I say, hey, we've been rolling with these rotations that we've been going with up to this point. And unless we absolutely need to find some offense, I feel like we should stick with our game plan, the game plan that we've been using and going with to get us to this point. I think if it ain't broke, don't break it. Just continue to run with what we've been doing. Salute to Tyler Hero, and I hope he makes a quick and swift recovery. He's a really big, vital part of our offense. So having him in there could definitely, help us a lot. But at the same time, the way that our chemistry is going and the way our vibe is right now, I just don't want to see nothing throw that off. I want to see us continue to stick with the cohesiveness that we have and to not have anything derail that. So ultimately, Coach Spo makes the ultimate decision. So I'm sure he's going to make the best choice when it comes to that. Tyler Hero, recovery. You're in all of our prayers. We look forward to seeing you back on the court again. But if we don't need it, hey, just save them for when we do need it. So that's that on that particular situation. So as far as my pick and my selection for this NBA Finals of this year for 2023, my pick is going to be, as if there's a surprise, I'm definitely picking Miami to win this series. And I'm picking us to win this series in 6 games. I feel like we can do it in a 6-game series against them. including if we steal game one on the road, the first game of the series. I feel like we can steal that game, and from there, our momentum is just going to keep rolling. So I like the Miami Heat in 6 games over the Denver Nuggets, but this will be the toughest series that we've probably had. I know you can say, like, how can it be the toughest series when we just had Boston in 7 games? But that honestly, we shouldn't even went to 7 games with Boston. That game 6 L that we took against Boston was some fluke last second. You know, we didn't box out. Boston was there and they got the ball in. But truth be told, we were supposed to be finished with them way before that. So I feel like this series against Denver is going to be the one. This is going to be a very, very hard, grueling, tough, hard-fought series, but I still like us to win it in 6 games. So let's see what happens with all that. All right. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hyped up. This is the NBA Finals. We made it all the way. Heat Nation, y'all boys stand up. We earned the right to pop our ish. We earned the right to talk the talk because we walk the walk. And here we go, baby. So let's get it. Let's take care of the Denver Nuggets. I called it in 6 games. Y'all lay around for it. Y'all know I'm going to come back with my recap and my review when it's all said and done. And let's see how close I was to reality. So until then, salute to all y'all. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate all the love. And shout out to everybody. Brother Noom said, old.